We are bringing you some very interesting conversations around the agricultural value chain. The Greater Accra Poultry Farm Association is not happy with what they call increasing foreign involvement in the sector. They say it's a major contribution or contributor to the egg glut affecting producers across the country, particularly in the Greater Accra region. According to the association, the situation is already impacting worker salaries and pushing several local investors to the brink of collapse. CEO of the association, Ali Mohammed, said about 38,000 crates of eggs remain unsold. This is for Greater Accra, attributing the situation to growing foreign participation, especially by Chinese traders in the retail market. He believes their involvement is squeezing out local producers. Here's a report filed by City News' Daniel Sakite.
The Poultry Farmers Association says the industry, which showed early promise this year, began declining sharply in June when farms started recording growing egg surpluses, particularly in Sunyani. Chief Executive Officer of the association, Ali Mohammed, reports that about 38,000 crates of eggs are currently unsold, blaming the situation on the rising involvement of foreign traders in the retail market, which he believes is squeezing out local producers.
I believe every sector in the economy has the participant defined, and I'm not sure I can go to China today or India today or Ethiopia today. I'll be allowed just to establish a poultry without necessary regulation being checked to start just producing eggs. Yes. And because I know the retail sector of the economy is purely meant for the locals, not. And even if there's going to be a foreign participation, I think there should be clear rules being defined as to who and what kind of the level of participation. But what we've seen, and I'm afraid, because these are people who are coming with huge capital from their base. I'm afraid whether our locals can compete and compete fairly. These are huge poultry farms around Azicheri area, around Fete area. These are huge farms. Huge farms. I'm telling you, the Chinese are not only in Galamsey. They are into poultry.
A visit to Blessed Farms, which keeps 1,500 birds and produces about 30 crates daily, revealed the severity of the problem. Owner Marian Mensah says demand has dropped significantly, making it difficult to sustain production and meet daily costs.
These days they don't buy because they said the ones outside is cheaper. But the ones outside is the Chinese people, they are spoiling our market. They said the big ones, they sell it 45, 40, 45. But if you buy quality eggs, it's good because you have to buy quality feed. It affects me because if you don't sell and you don't get money, you can't take care of your family. If they don't buy, our local ones, because it's quality, it takes time. But if more than 3 weeks, you have to spoil it.
Employees are also feeling the impact. Rita Doglo Venunye fears her salary may not be paid this month due to the slowdown.
At times, we are expecting our eggs to be sold out. Meanwhile, the eggs are still there, whilst other ones are coming. So with that, it has been packed, and people don't normally come as they usually do. This November, 2 weeks now, I can say that it has been difficult. So I know that it will delay my payment because the things that I will sell out so that they will pay me out in it is there. So what do I expect to pay me with? So I'm just praying that getting to December, God will do miracle.
Sector players warn that more farms could collapse if the trend continues. Jerry Otu Lakai of Lakai Farms, which also manages 1,500 birds, says many businesses are already struggling to survive.
It will collapse. Most people, farmers, have even sold off their birds because they can't even feed them. If there's a glut and then the eggs are rotting at the farm, at the end of the day, the birds too are there, you need to feed them. Where will you go to get the money to feed them? This is a big challenge that we are facing as an industry. I can count about 10 to 15 of the farms that have shut down.
Although President John Dramani Mahama has directed schools to procure local rice, maize, chicken and eggs, the association says it is waiting for final implementation modalities. It is calling for stronger government intervention to protect local poultry businesses.
We are making a follow-up, and we want to also put in to the buffer stock to understand the modalities, how the internet off-taking from our members. Is it going to be like if I'm in Central? What it means is that secondary schools within Central region are going to take from us. If I'm within Western, is that how secondary school, lower primary, and those things? We want to understand.
In the report, one of the women said the Chinese sell the egg at 40 to 45. I don't know where they sell the eggs at 40 because I bought eggs at my shop. I usually buy eggs, 1 crate per week or something or whatever. I got 60 cedis.
I bought last week for 65 cedis.
So Ghanaian egg producers, first question to you, if there's an egg glut, why hasn't the price come down? Number 2, should we be concerned? Is it even fair for the egg traders in Greater Accra to blame foreigners, particularly Chinese? I think in a way Chinese have become the easy target for a lot of people, generally speaking, without going to the merits of the matter. I think generally when somebody wants to generate some level of antipathy, they will say, oh, the Chinese, they are into this, they are into that. I think each must be looked at on a case-by-case basis. Clearly in Galamsey, there are some areas where you can accuse them, but even that is with local connivance. But I'm a bit torn on the egg situation because we've done egg reports from the Bono region. I've interviewed the Bono egg guy. He never mentioned any Chinese. He said to me that the reason they were having problems was that since the city began to appreciate, the CFA has been more affordable. So people are bringing eggs from Cote d'Ivoire into Ghana. And don't forget, Ghana's egg hub is Bono, particularly Doma, which is the border town. So his point was that the people were bringing in the eggs from Cote d'Ivoire, and those eggs were cheaper than the Ghanaian eggs. That's what
smuggling in, or they were importing.
He didn't say.
Okay.
So to hear the Greater Accra Association chair and his members blame Chinese, I find a bit interesting. So which means that if the Chinese have poultry farms, then they have it in Accra. Maybe that's where they are blaming the foreigners. That's number one. Number 2, it's one thing complaining about eggs from Cote d'Ivoire coming into Ghana to make locally produced egg more expensive. But if the Chinese are producing the egg in the same Accra that are producing the egg, how are they able to sell it cheaper? So should we be worried about the claim, or should we? It's some way. It didn't sit well with me.
Bernard, I don't think that the claim is without basis. Okay. This is the person who heads the association of the farmers in Greater Accra. So I would approach his claims with a certain legitimacy. Okay, and these are also, some of them are business people. The first question you asked was why prices of eggs have not gone down despite what appears to be a glut.
True.
What we are calling glut is not necessarily a glut in the strict sense that they have produced more than ordinarily they would.
Good.
And so the expectation is that there should be a drop in the prices. So one thing, the CD has appreciated against the dollar. That's a good thing, but that does not automatically translate into a cheaper or a more cost-effective way of doing business. Doing business is still expensive. In any case, your cost of production when the CD was 15 against the dollar, as against now, you're going to sell your things. If you look at the time, you're going to sell your things at 12 Ghana cedis per a dollar. That in itself is
if you're an exporter,
especially
so you
So, and even local producers. So that in itself is a cost to you.
Yeah.
So the fact that you may have run a bit of loss there. Now, the fact that the once again the CD is appreciating doesn't automatically translate into a cheaper cost of business in Ghana. Your operational costs are there,
which is why it's easier to get eggs from Cote d'Ivoire cheaper.
Which is why they cannot the local farmers compete. They cannot reduce the prices of the eggs as we expect, because their cost of production is still expensive. It's still
because
high.
The feed is still imported.
Yes, the cost of doing business is still high.
But let me push it. If the CD has appreciated against the dollar, that means that if you were buying 1 bag of soya bean feed for $1, that dollar is now cheaper. So your cost of producing your poultry technically should be cheaper.
Not in the strict sense. Equal. Okay. So when you say all things being equal, so that's more forward looking.
Other things being
that's
equal.
more forward looking, because some of your costs are coming from months back. But that being the case, this complaint about the Chinese, in as much as it could have been done in a more tasteful manner or in a more diplomatic manner, I guess the bottom line is that the force the Chinese come into industry with, they've got cheaper financing from their government, cheaper labor, they have better economies of scale. We don't have that in Ghana here. And so they're able to reduce prices. And so they're going to create a pricing depression for us. And then that will affect demand.
That's
because the average... Exactly.
But the question is, what about your consumers? Aren't your consumers happy to buy eggs for 40? Or the Chinese are not selling? Because the claim by the woman in the report was that the Chinese were selling the eggs at 45. I don't know where to buy eggs for 45. And I'm sure if I announce that they will sell eggs 45 at
I don't think we should be encouraging.
People will come. No, but we also have to balance between affordability, because there's also a conversation about the cost of things in Ghana. So Kakra, if you have a glut of a product, technically, basic economic theory is that when the supply outstrips demand, prices fall. Except in Ghana.
But this supply is not happening through the ordinary market forces. This supply is happening because people are taking advantage of the arbitrage profit and bringing in eggs from CFA because the CFA against the dollar has now more value.
So what I'm saying is that if Ghanaian producers are producing 5 eggs and then we smuggle in another 5, or we smuggle in 4 and the Chinese produce 1 to make 10.
If we make a decision...
I'm just going to give a point. The fact that there's more supply means price should come down.
But we have to... You see, when we just say the fact that there's more supply, when you interrogate it, that's why I said... That's why I said what appears to be a glut. There isn't necessarily more supply from the part of local producers.
Yes.
And so it will be unfair to expect them to drop their prices to the competition from Ivory Coast d'Ivoire or from the Chinese producers.
I separate production from supply. So maybe the Ghanaians are producing the regular eggs they produce at the same cost. They can't reduce their price. But I'm saying that if the Ghanaians are producing 5 out of 10, and then people are smuggling in 4 out of the rest of the 10, and the Chinese are producing even 1 out of 10, that means the 10 out of 10, half of that is cheaper. So generally prices everywhere, because the theory of pricing...
No, but which ones are people buying?
But give me a second.
Okay.
I'm saying that if there was only 5 crates of eggs in the town, and they were selling at 60 cedis. Once we have 10 crates of eggs and somebody's selling his egg at 4, somebody's selling his egg at 5, the average overall price should come down. Do you know what I'm saying? Not the price for the guy producing the local 5, but the overall price in the market should become down, because it forces. That's why demand and supply are called forces. They force a price change. So if you have a crate of eggs you are selling, produced in Amania farms, if a Chinese is your neighbor selling at 45, and you are selling at 60, you may be forced to sell it at 50. So that you don't throw your egg at the 50, 60 price away.
Granted, but here is the case that if they are going to drop their prices to the levels of those who are bringing in cheaper imports, or those who are producing at cheaper with financing from their government and labor and etc., then what you're going to do is they risk running out of business.
Yes.
Because then it affects their cost of production and their cost of doing business.
Between 2 evils. Do you keep those eggs to get rotten, or do you sell it at a lower price so you get something? So
that's a decision
that's the challenge they face.
The business person
so now,
has
if somebody
to
is selling eggs at 40, and I'm not sure I've seen any eggs sold at 40, I bought egg at 60. I want people to tell me where I can get egg at 45 so I can buy. That's one. But that also means the egg must be produced here. Number 2, how are the Chinese able to produce eggs at 45?
I disagree with the statement you just made.
Okay,
and for me,
tidy it up for me.
So for me, I don't think that it's that simple. The issues involved are not that simple. The market forces are not naturally occurring. You see, because one thing we talked about, this is the importation of cheaper alternatives, or the foreign production right here that creates a cheaper alternative. That if that continues and there's no regulation to set things in the right order, we are going to end up pushing the indigenous producers out of business.
Maybe as well it's a distribution issue, because some egg farmer is telling us right now that in his farm regular eggs are selling at 50 and 38. So maybe the middle person who goes for those eggs adds a markup to make it 50 and whatever. So
I think the last time you interviewed somebody like that.
It's possible that the reason the Chinese is supposed to sell at a cheaper price, maybe he has his own distribution outlet.
Yes.
But this local farmer produces eggs and sells to the market queen or whatever distributor at 38. The person may still sell it at 60. So you're right. We need to probably look at maybe the Ghanaians are not benefiting because their middlemen are giving them a low price and still selling the egg to us at the high price.
So the middlemen would ordinarily mark up.
Yes, which is why we are saying the farmer himself should come and sell at the agri fair. That's what we are saying. We are saying don't give your egg to
a middleman who's going to market up.
Because if you give the egg to the middleman at 38, he may have storage, so he can decide that he will sell it at 60. But if you find a way of coming to the agri fair, you can even sell it at 40 and we'll still buy it. That's the idea we are. So let's
totally
break in and
agree
bring
with that.
Edwin.
And so can I just quickly say, so you have the local pride, the Ghanaian pride, which is the indigenous production, and then you have the good prices. So your best bet is indeed to come to the
But don't
agri
forget
fair.
that when we say buy made in Ghana, we don't differentiate between whether it's made in Ghana by a Chinese or a Ghanaian.
No.
It's made here.
Thank you.
So we need to be careful. Made in Ghana doesn't mean made by black people.
Thank you.
Certainly.
So
certainly.
because I buy cables from companies, or I will buy cement, or I will buy steel, they are Ghanaian companies. B5 Plus may not be owned by a Ghanaian, but it's a local company. Do you understand? Because the family.
But you said at the end of the day, profits and revenues are exported.
I was joking. If see,
No, but
no,
see,
let's take it one by one.
that's
See,
an
if
important
there's a company like Melcom,
Thank you.
or a lot of these companies that may have Lebanese or Indian owners.
Italian owners.
Look, I went to a program last week. Even
Some of
one of
them
the
are
one
more
of the
Ghanaian
one
than
of
the
the
rest of us.
construction companies. The company has been in Ghana since 1964. You can't tell me that it's a foreign company. 1964. Their great grandfather started a company. All the children go to school in Ghana. I mean, they even speak
No,
tree.
but
They are
some of
married
them,
to
some of
Ghanaians.
them
So
have naturalized and
so
are
my
indeed
point is that
Ghanaians. I get the point.
We have to be. For me, produce it in Ghana. That's why Trump will say they are taking our jobs to China. Where you produce it is the issue. They can even be producing the thing in China with American managers who, but I say that they are taking our jobs to China because where you produce is where you create a job. So for me, this indigenous thing is about producing it physically here. I don't agree with importing an egg from China to bring it to Ghana. But if a Chinese man can set up an egg factory in Asuchuari, even with his government supporting him, why not?
And he doesn't violate the GIPC Act, of course.
If he's selling the eggs for us to get at a good price, we should buy it. We should learn from him how he's able to produce the egg at 40.
And do better.
Yeah.
And
So
do
we should.
better.
So for example, if a Chinese man has a farm at Asuchuari producing vegetables, and he sells in a normal Ghanaian mall, why shouldn't we buy it?
Can I just steal like 5 seconds of Edwin's
Today
time
you
and
are
ask
not-
you a question?
Yes, ask me.
Why is it that why don't we perceive products or goods produced by Ghanaians in Ghana as quality and merit the prices that they are given? We do that with foreign goods, but when it comes to Ghanaian goods or Ghanaian locally produced goods, we have an expectation that it should be cheaper because it's made right here.
Let's discuss that when we come back.
Yes.
A couple of comments on the egg situation I'm going to bring up before we go back into the discussion. So what are we talking about today? The Greater Accra Poultry Farmers Association is complaining about what they describe as an egg glut. And they are blaming foreign participation, particularly by Chinese traders in the retail market or Chinese producers. We spoke to Ali Mohammed, who said about 38,000 crates of eggs remain unsold, attributing the situation to growing foreign participation. Let me read a few comments. Selassie says, Bernard, it's the middlemen. They buy their eggs for about 40 cedis and sell above 60. What I don't get is the sole reason for the price hike in the past was the cedi to the dollar rate at 17. Now we hear other reasons to keep the price up in spite of the glut and stronger cedi. Then here's another one from Apia. Bernard, good morning. I've been following the discussion on the egg issue. The cedi appreciation makes imported eggs from neighboring countries cheaper. Imports from ECOWAS states do not breach any law. The real reason is the high cost of production in Ghana. Egg input costs for poultry have not reduced, even though the cedi has appreciated. Local producers struggle to compete with eggs from neighboring countries under these conditions. The focus on the Chinese is a distraction. If Chinese producers operate in Ghana under the same market conditions, we must ask why their eggs sell at lower prices. There is also the question of whether those eggs are produced through methods like growing eggs from labs that need closer examination. On the demand and supply side, higher egg availability suggests more layers in production. Prices of layers should fall between now and Christmas. If this is not happening, then something is wrong somewhere and we must be told the full truth. This is Apia Kusi Adomako from Cats. I'm going to read one from an egg producer who we know on this program. Good morning, team. On the egg situation, I have a few points. Number one, Chinese involvement started about 3 to 4 years ago. The Chinese are involved in the following value chains: feed production, additive and medication import, day-old production, egg production, transport and sales of their eggs using vans. 3. The Chinese benefit from economies of scale. Their farms are really large, hence their prices are a bit cheaper. They import most of their inputs themselves. 4. Egg prices from my farm are now large 55, medium 50, small 44, pullet 35. But the market survey shows that what I produce for 55 sells at 65. What I supply at 50 sells at 60. What I supply at 44 is sold at 55. And the pullet I produce at 35 is sold at 45. Our market women are a contributing factor in the high prices in the market. The Chinese involvement over the last years have helped reduce the price of day-old chicks. And chicks are always available on demand compared to those imported day-old chicks. So this is coming from an egg producer we know. Can somebody read a few more of the comments before we see where we're going with that?
So, good morning. They should reduce prices of eggs if there is glut. They should sell the excess crates to school feeding caterers. They want us to buy eggs at 95. These local farmers would rather throw eggs away than give to school children. You didn't add your name. Hi, team. You think the Chinese are innocent? Wait till you find out they are bringing bottled water to sell. They will soon enter every other space and we can't compete. Tech, agribusiness. Bernard, there is a danger pending. No Ghanaian can go and operate in China as they are operating here. Why do you think Trump is trying to reclaim farmlands from the Chinese in America? They will take over poultry and livestock farming and everything soon. Shalom. Bernard and Kako, I am buying a crate of eggs for 70 Ghana cedis here in Tema.
70 plus.
Yeah, man, 70 plus. The Ghanaian seller is always looking for exponential profits, even if it eventually leads to losses. My household of 6 consumes 2 crates of eggs every week. Eric Che. Send that from Adum Estate, Community 25 in Tema. Hello, City.
Hello.
I believe the Ghanaian egg producers should reduce the cost to match the market demand. They can do that to cut their losses instead of the blames. Chinese are producing in the same market conditions, hence they have the same cost impact. If their demand is high, these Ghanaian producers would increase the price and tell me it's demand. But now demand is low. They are not reducing it. Something is wrong to me. Maybe the association's approach is not allowing market forces. Kwame sent that from Abukubi. Bernard, please, this reasoning these local producers keep projecting has been an excuse since April when the city strengthened. Farm gate prices have dropped significantly, but the retailers and sellers have refused to reduce prices, yet they are benefiting big time from the farmers. The middlemen are those enjoying making abnormal profits. Farmers and end users are those suffering. Mike, send that from
That's why we are organizing the agri fair. Come and buy directly from the farmers, cut out the middlemen, and make a good saving for your family.
Yeah, that'll be all. Bernard, I'm sure the 45 Ghana cedis are brought by retailers and sold at Ghanaian prices. Okay, Bernard, egg price in my area did not reduce. When the cedi appreciated against the dollar, Ghanaian businessmen and women, they are quick in increasing prices and super slow in reducing prices.
It's not just
they
Ghanaians.
would rather leave their goods to spoil.
But it's more nuanced than
Generally, in economics, they say prices are sticky downwards. That's what they say.
Please come to my area in Lashibi. Egg is sold for 70 Ghana cedis per crate.
Hey!
Wow, Lashibi.
Hey!
Okay, the Ghanaian businessman, you say, is greedy. The cost of soybean has markedly reduced due to recent glut. This should make feed for poultry cheaper, making eggs cheaper. Just look at the cost of banku and kenke, which remains the same. The size is the same, the cost is the same, although the cost of maize has markedly reduced.
Ayo.
The Ghanaian economy is mainly run with greed. Good morning, Bernard.
Good morning.
One issue is that egg consumption in Ghana is particularly low compared to other parts. Are you sure?
Yes.
Egg consumption in Ghana is low compared to Nigeria?
Yes.
Really?
Read the message.
So, the association should educate the general public on the benefits of eggs.
It's true.
Our population of 33 million, with our population that shouldn't be glad
We should
at
be
all.
eating more eggs.
Okay.
Good morning.
When you buy at wholesale, you get it between 40 to 60 cedis, depending on the size. Now, when it gets to the shop, then the profit is added and you get it at the cost you see on the shelves.
Let's read the last two more before we bring in Sky and Kakra again.
I have never understood this whole glut thing in the current context. We are treating farmers farming like it's a hobby. As a farmer, you are also a businessman or woman. Given everything that has happened, smuggled eggs from Cote d'Ivoire, possible cheaper alternatives from Chinese farms, forex loans they have, etc., etc. I don't understand why they are not selling cheap to offload stocks. Maybe there is something I'm missing out. Wouldn't you rather sell off the stock that's rotten, or you'd sit down and wait for government to help you for products that are going bad every day? As a private business, isn't it mostly your responsibility to ensure the success of your farm? Beat the market price, sell off the stock, and okay. Hi, CDCBS.
Good morning.
To be very honest, I don't care if the poultry farmers make sales or not. All I care about is how I can feed my family. If I get the egg cheaper, I will buy it. How can you tell me this story? They are producing the same product there in Ghana, and the Chinese are able to sell it cheaper, and Ghana man is always making noise. We just take advantage of ourselves and turn around and blame everyone else but ourselves. See this and that from Tish.
Those were some of your comments. I'll talk to a farmer quickly and then I'll come back in studio. Don't forget, after 9 a.m., we're bringing you a Tech Monday, a very special edition as well.
Sharp.
All right, so who do I have on the line? I have Ali Mohammed, CEO of the Greater Accra Poultry Farmers Association. Ali, good morning. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you, Bernard.
So Ali,
and the team.
I'm fine. So this Chinese matter you are bringing, is it just for Greater Accra? Because last week when I interviewed your colleagues from the Bono region, they were saying that the problem with them was they had cheaper alternatives from Cote d'Ivoire coming in because the CFA was now weaker, and therefore people were bringing eggs from Ivory Coast and the Bono, Doma area eggs were not selling. You seem to be saying that in Accra is because the Chinese are involved in producing eggs. Is that what you're saying?
Bernard, you are right. Even in Accra, the influx of the eggs from our neighboring countries is also a factor. But at the last interview that I had with your colleague, Mr. Sakite, we realize now the influx of the foreign participants, the Indians, what's the name, Ethiopians, the Chinese. Here's the case. I followed the discussion from the newspaper review angle. And your colleagues in the studio, look, we are not looking at the egg as a final product on the table for consumption. We are looking at the value chain that contributes to making or bringing the egg to the table. Look, the Chinese have a certain advantage that we don't have. The Greater Accra Poultry Farmers Association, the name sounds Greater Accra, but we are in about 9 regions of the country. Our cost of production actually is very, very high. The Chinese have an advantage of bringing their own input from their own country, from the maize, the soya, the concentrate. And look, we can't compete on that level. But one of the farms that we visited the last time when we are doing this thing to see, the minimum production per day is over 4,000 crates per day. That's only one farm. And if you look at their source of raw material, everything is coming from China directly. And look, our cost, I want to say the cost, the financing cost of input is very, very, very high. Look, when we allow, the Ghanaian is proprietary and things, let's look at the value chain.
Okay, where do the Ghanaians get their input from? If you're saying they get their feed and raw materials from China, where do you get yours from?
We source our local materials from locally. We take the maize locally, we take soya locally, everything locally. The last time when I came to the studio at the interview, we want to even start sourcing for our wheat rice brand from our local producers.
So are you saying that the Chinese brings? Hold on. So the Chinese brings the feed from China? Is that what you're saying?
The feed inputs, the maize, the soya, everything is from China. And look, some of these farmers are coming with heavily subsidized financing costs. I can tell you the minimum capital that you need in this agribusiness value chain, Bernard, It's not a chicken feed. I can tell you for that. Look, on average, the interest cost to the last window is hovering around 20%. How can you compete with a farmer who is coming from China with maybe maximum around 4-5%? He can compete. It is not about, they are producing the eggs in Ghana, so it's okay. No. Look, some species need to be regulated. Either two, our farmers will go over and they will go out of business.
What is the farm gate? What is the farm gate price you are giving your large eggs for per crate?
After 2 weeks, some of the farm gate price around 45, 40 cedis.
Because people are telling me they are buying eggs at 70, 75. So if your farm gate is 40, hold on.
Yeah.
If your farm gate for that, I'm talking of large. If your farm gate for large is 40, and is this an Accra-based farm?
Yes, within the what I call around Gomo area, maybe that's the central area. That's where one of our some of our large farmers are.
And they are giving farm gate at 40, 45 for large.
45.
If you go to hold on. If you go to Medina, you go to Ashalibotre, you go to Yarifa, you will get final product large egg 75, sometimes 80. So isn't the middleman also making too much profit? Because if you are giving it to him at 45 and he's selling it at 75 or 80, then maybe the problem is the middleman, not the Chinese matter itself.
Bernard, you are right. You see, the argument is in two fronts. First, the production side. Second, on the consumer, how does the consumer get his egg? Where does the consumer get his egg? You are right. The last time I had an interview with your team in my office, we gave them the empirical evidence to tell them this in the market that our markets are not that regulated that we can say, or maybe, Bernard, I'm a farmer, I leave farm. They are off-takers. Take a minimum of 20 going. I'm giving a 47 cities. Before it gets to the market, sometimes it's very difficult to regulate the prices. But we understand how the market queen are refusing to bring prices down. And some of them, they tell you, look, this is our time that we make money. I said, look, and Bernard, there's one thing I want to disclose. Look, these market queens, they bear the less risk or no risk. What did they do? They don't buy these eggs with cash. They take them on credit. So the farmer is at their beck and call. You come back in 2 weeks' time. We're negotiating you, Manton. They take it from the farm gate price. They don't give you the money.
Okay.
They sell it before they return the money.
So why can't you, the farmers, come together and cut out the market queens? Can't you, for example, as an association, supply eggs directly to hotels, chop bars, and to markets without using market queens if they are such a big problem?
We can. Look, as at the last council meeting, we wanted to create some satellite markets within Accra. Saturday, Sunday, with the defined time, we will run the advert. We will run the advert through your medium because CTFM has become the mouthpiece for farmers. We want to run this thing for every Saturday, Sunday. Look.
Okay, before you continue, this Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, we have a big agri fair at Ifua Sutherland.
We have already said, and with the last time we participated, this time
I just want to know, will you give, what price are you giving? I hope you're not coming to give 70 per crate.
No.
What are you giving us? What crate level are you giving us? Because we are complaining about market queens. If you are giving your farm gate at 40, I'm not saying come and sell at 40, but I obviously don't expect you to come and sell at 60 or above when you come to the program.
No egg will be sold at 60. I'm telling you, the highest will get around 45, 47 cities per crate.
You are sure?
Very, very sure.
So as a long-term solution, what are you proposing to government? Is it to make the feed cheaper? Is it to create markets so that producers don't have to go through market queens? What is the sustainable way of letting Ghanaians enjoy this 40, 45 or even 50 instead of paying 70 to 90? That's what I'm paying in Accra.
Yes, maybe, but what we can appeal to government is to try and make the input cost a bit lower. Yes, our local producers of maize up north, they borrow from the banks to produce the maize, the same as soya and other additives. And it's all about the input cost. Getting the finance cost right, everything will come down. Yes, everything will come down. But on the word go, it will be very difficult for us to compete with these foreign farmers. It will be very difficult. Very, very difficult.
All right, so how big are their farms compared to yours?
Yes, I told you, one of the farms, the minimum egg production per day is more than 4,000 crates.
What is the average size of a Ghanaian central region-based poultry farmer's size?
You can get 20,000, 10,000 birds, but the highest around 60,000 birds. But these people are having about 100,000 birds per farm. You know, Mr. Able, you know the average cost. When you have the large farm like that, your average per unit cost will come down.
So why can't the Ghanaian farmers come together so that so maybe you can have, instead of Ali Mohammed Farm, you can have Western Greater Accra Farmers Association. If you put yours together, aggregation, you can also be bigger than the Chinese. Or incoming for one man no chop matter.
But you know, you are right. But maybe we'll get there one day. But the number that we are talking about from our members, if you aggregate per day production, we will also get it's that number. But I'm looking at only one farm here, only one farm. But these are people who are coming with certain technology which are very superior, coming with some financing arrangement from their countries that we can never get here. If you are looking at only the pricing for the final consumer, I'm sure one day what we call the local master and bull fruit, the Chinese will overtake. They will take it and say, "Oh, we are getting at a cheaper rate." That was the thing. But it doesn't work that way. We want to create the value chain from the farmer to the producing of the birds, to the production of eggs, and the production of the meat as well. It's a value chain analysis that we are doing, not only the final product that comes to the table.
Thank you for your time and your insights. Ali Mohammed is the president of Greater Accra Association of Poultry Farmers. He will be at the Agri Fair on Friday. He says you will get maximum 45 for a crate.
Yay!
Imagine if we had a system of adding value to eggs so that beyond just buying the raw egg, you can create a certain powder or something that we can use in the lean season. That would be really great. Has your position changed after listening to him, or it has been further strengthened? And I also want your view as we move to the next point.
So my position hasn't changed. And if you listen to Mr. Aliu, and in fact some of the messages, they make the point that there's too much burden or expectation on the indigenous Ghanaian producer or farmer of eggs and what have you. Okay. A lot of people are hinting at the obvious, the markup business by the middlemen.
Correct.
Okay. And that is where the gap in terms of regulation is exposed.
Yeah.
We understand that the farmers are producing eggs going for what? 45, 50 Ghana cedis, the large eggs per crate.
Yeah.
Then you come to the supermarket and you are buying it 60, 70, 80.
Somebody even says he's buying at 90 at Oyarifa.
Somebody claims they are buying at 90 Ghana cedis
Another
at
says
Oyarifa.
the poultry farm is just across his house, but he buys at 70.
Caleb, hold on. The point is that so you see that interrogates our complaints that the poultry farmers are selling eggs for high prices. When you interrogate it, they are not. It means they are even doing magic in this high cost of operation and generally high cost of doing business in Ghana.
Right.
They are still giving you reasonable pricing. Now, upon interrogation, we discover that the challenge is really or largely the markup business being run by the middlemen and women. Okay, so then there must be regulation. How are we going to regulate what the middlemen and women are doing? He cited the example that they can bring your crates back to you and say, your egg crates back to you and say, we didn't sell. Nana's Rice, when you spoke to him, made the same point about the distribution challenges, that your rice will come back because the turnaround for the imported rice it makes them more money and they won't sell yours same. So the challenge is that we need regulation to address the fundamental problem as has emerged, which is, and most of us have always known, which is the markup business, because it's a whole business model that people run. It's a whole business, somebody's entire business. You know, the typical kotobeton mentality.
So
perhaps
for Ghana, profit is mikoton at this price,
beton,
and then they put a big markup on it.
and they put a big markup on it, and that creates a burden for the producer. I think that moving forward, policymakers and stakeholders must push for a shift from or deviation from the kotobeton mentality
The question I have for you guys is,
to the produce and sell
this
mentality.
Market middleman thing has been with us for a long time, and you have not been able to break it down. Could there be that they are so powerful that they are even connected to the political elite? Because they behave like cartels, right? And look at the way the man described it. If what the man is saying is true, it's a market distorting activity. And we've seen from AgriFair that indeed, when farmers come and sell directly to consumers, it's not as expensive. We do understand the role of market queens in the sense that sometimes they pre-finance the production and they bear the risk of transporting and storing. But I feel like if a government is really interested in making food available and accessible and affordable, you can't spend all your time just providing inputs. You must be interested in saying, for example, cold storage. If I produce tomatoes or some fresh vegetables, how does the farmer or the market have access to it in a way that doesn't destroy it? How do I transport it so that the price doesn't go up? I think the government should now start thinking beyond production into the availability of transportation and markets. Because the objective of increasing production is for people to get at a cheaper price. And it's not happening, Caleb.
I like the mix of the competition we are seeing from the Chinese. It means that our government will have to sit up, because household incomes remain the same and people will make choices based on what will work for them. By all means, we have dedicated our time to encourage Ghanaians that, look, let's put our money where our mouth is, because our people are creating jobs for our people. So when we buy, life goes on and on and all of that. Earlier, my worry with the story was the fact that the Greater Accra poultry farmer, sought to pitch this poultry thing with galamsey and all of that. For crying out loud, if Chinese come here and they are into poultry, even if they don't employ Ghanaians, the stuff is produced here. And you see, there is a long chain of migrant families who have moved in here, who have naturalized, who are in sectors that are helping the economy. So let's not be too quick to say, oh, the Chinese are getting into poultry. That's fine. What are they doing that we can learn and get better with? It's something for the government to also look into and say, okay, what are our people doing and how can we help make them more profitable with all the competition? Look, every year, government, every month, every other time, government officials are moving around the world calling people that, oh, Ghana is open for business. Come, let's do business. Come and invest in this. Come and here.
You see,
let me finish.
But come and invest in something.
Come and invest.
It's okay.
Not crowd out.
Yes, but in the poultry industry, I have checked our statutes and our rules. I've not seen anything that bars any foreigners from going to poultry.
They are doing fish
No, so
farming.
let's nuance it a bit.
fish.
Let's nuance it a
Yes.
bit. The GIPC Act
Yes.
allows for investment,
Yes.
whether you are joining a Ghanaian or you are coming
Now, they
as a
want to remove
foreigner.
the limit.
So,
There used
yes.
to be a 1 million limit. Now they want to even remove it.
So
they can enter more
that's the
areas.
minimum
I heard
capital
the president
requirement.
say so,
They
which
can
is
enter
bad.
more areas, but the question is about regulating what they do. Are we limiting and indeed, we should be looking at partnering the Chinese to learn what they are doing better.
Absolutely.
But are we regulating how they are doing their production? Are they producing just for export? Are they also going to supply locally? If they are, then that must be regulated
But we
in a
should
way
reg-
that
we
it
should-
doesn't crowd
but we-
out
yes,
the
yes.
the local producers.
100%.
That is really the
I
concern.
think
The local
guys,
yes.
this is not an argument. Both truths can coexist.
Yes.
You're saying if the Chinese are coming in or whoever is coming in, they must regulate it so it doesn't crowd out. Correct. Caleb is also saying that even if you do that, there are still things they do that you can learn because they may have some better practices that makes them more productive. You can also learn.
And I made that
So-
point as well,
so-
that we must consider partnering with the
Which is why I'm
Chinese to
saying
learn
that
from them.
Both of you are right. We don't have to always have a winner. Both of you are winners.